Hello everyone, and welcome to a sort of discussion video or maybe a rambling about Fallout76 as a whole, because even though I have over 1,000 hours in the game and being a content creator about it, I never actually did a video reviewing the game as a whole in my, honest opinion. So I feel like this is a good time to actually do that, and no, that's not because of the patch 21 shenanigans or QuakeCon. I just feel like this is a sort of place where there isn't that much content being added right now, and the community could probably use some other perspectives than the Bethesda, why didn't you fix this? Why don't I have my deep pocketed limbs to this Secret Service limbs and whatnot? I'm not saying those guys are idiots for asking for those. No, they are completely in the right. I'm just saying that you should probably, or you probably are tired of hearing only that and nothing else. So to start things off with, I actually wanted to give you my honest opinion about the game as a whole, and it's that probably the best way to do that is to have or ask the question about for myself whether I would recommend this game to others. And to that, my undoubted answer is that yes, I can recommend the game because despite there's still some lingering bugs here and there, despite some of the quality of the items inside the game isn't top notch and could have some. Better quality or improvements. I still feel like that the content that is here right now and just the sort of general premise that the game has, going forward to the future. I feel like it's definitely a game that's worth picking up, especially for the price tag that's at it right now. It's no longer $60, thankfully. So yeah, I think you do get a good game for your buck if you buy the game right now. It doesn't mean, of course, that I feel like the game should just stay at the current state and just not have anything improved or added. No, it's definitely with the premise that it needs more stuff added in the future. Also, that thing is just glitching out. All right, I just move away from that. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like a good indicator about the game as a whole is just to ask somebody whether they would recommend the game, and if they say yes, then despite them maybe being salty about certain things about the game, they would probably still enjoy it and have some fun with it as players. So that being said, let's move on to the next point, which is the community, which is kind of basically part of this, but at the same time I feel like they do deserve a separate section for themselves. And the community is amazing. You would expect that a certain part of the community would change and they get saltier and saltier over time, but this actually is probably even more so the opposite of what happened. The community has just kind of came together, and the new players, seeing the kindness that the players display towards them that are already in the game, is just helping to build this wholesomeness even more so than before. Of course, there's still some idiots who hack, who dupe, and who exploit the mechanics of the game to make others' experience miserable. But that doesn't mean that the majority of the players are thankfully good-hearted and just sort of fun people to hang around with in a game like Fallout 76. So yeah, shout out to you, everybody in the community, except those stupors, hackers, and the idiots who just try to ruin the game for others. You are all amazing. Alright, that being said, let's move over to the content in the game and the quality of it. First of all, I would like to say the quantity of the content, and thankfully it's actually quite good. Even for someone like me who has 4 characters at this point, who grinds a lot of stuff like the legendary run without spending a single dime of atoms on it, I still feel like that there is enough stuff for me to do and come back daily, despite me wanting to come back rather weekly, as many people have already expressed them that they don't really like this sort of daily capped limits. But I kind of just adjusted to that by not wanting to get all of the caps on every one of my characters every day, all of the script or all of the gold bullions or treasury notes and whatnot. I just log in, have some fun, maybe do the daily changes, then maybe collect some caps on the character that I'm doing with, and then I log off, and I'm totally content with that. I don't really have or feel the need to grind more to get that legendary bloodied 25% faster fire rate and 15% faster reload fixer. I just am not really that much into the game. If some people like that, of course, that's their thing. I guess they can still adjust to that in one way or another. They just have to focus on getting scripts and caps, and that's it. But what I'm trying to say is that I feel like the game is forgiving enough for most people to be able to enjoy it on a casual basis, I guess. Even though the grindiness of the game could use some adjustment, but that's for another topic or another day. But on the other hand, despite the content itself in the game being adequate and plentiful enough to warrant people enjoying the game, I do feel like that the quality definitely leaves a lot to be desired. To kind of showcase what I'm trying to mean here is that let's jump into something like the premium shop, right? The Atomic shop, of course. And let's just look at something like the very first featured item, the Junkyard Power Armor Paint. It's broken, it's bugged, because the skin itself somehow removes the prefix of it being a power armor. So whenever you put it on any of the power armors that you already own, that inherited extra radiation resistance that power armors all have, that is unwritten in the sort of notes of the power armor. So it does say that you get extra radiation resistance, but it doesn't say that you get an overall percentage of radiation resistance that's not listed anywhere in the game, only in the game files. So this thing actually breaks it by removing that prefix of the power armor being a power armor. And what's more, it's not even the first power armor that does that, but for example, the Settler T51 skin of the power armor also did that, despite being a completely pay-to-play feature, because there you couldn't even use items to get it. You could only use the $20 to buy the bundle entirely. So this is what I'm trying to say, and it's not only, of course, this power armor. There are certain bug things like the Camo Secret Service Under Armor not having the linings available for it. That I don't know. I could just probably go on and on if I look through all of the things. But what I'm trying to say is that in a premium shop like this, for $12 for power armor skin, there shouldn't be bugs this obvious still in the game. And when you want to go to something else like the legendary run, you will see that, for example, the Appalachian Thunder pipe skin is actually obstructing half of your field of view if you try to play with it. The Ghillie service armor skin that I have on right now and I achieved, thankfully it's been fixed, but still for a month it obstructed your view entirely because of the Ghillie mesh on the armor. The Blood Eagle paint of the handmade skin and by the way, the golden skin from the Raider bundle is broken on the Blood Eagle, or the handmade rifle, because certain parts of the rifle aren't mapped properly, which means that the textures get stretched and skewed and just look horrible, for example on the suppressor and the longer scopes. The Future Tech camp placement thingy breaks your camp. It actually doesn't, it makes the camp not appear on the map at a whole, and you can't even fast travel to your camp from that point on. And I could just go on and on about certain things that are, bad in one way or other. For example, the ammo converter, it's not broken technically, it's just an entire hassle to use, and nobody actually likes using it, as Bethesda already saw. And despite it receiving a sort of fix, it doesn't actually fix anything, it just makes the ammo converter bad in a different way. So yeah, I think this being the sort of thing that that is relevant to the contents, I feel like this doesn't give a good image to Bethesda or the game as a whole, and that's why it's still getting so much flack. And rightfully so, I should add, these things should not happen, because all of the things that I just mentioned about the bugs and glitches with the items in the game could have been resolved if the one dev or whoever is still supposedly have quality checking on the game would spawn them in one time, because it would be apparent instantly to them, even if they didn't try to mess around to break it in one way or another. Of course, we have the private test server, or rather the public test server right now, which is aimed somewhat to fix these sort of glaring issues with the game and report said bugs. But I feel like this is again just Bethesda's lazy way on, actually sparing out the quality testers from the game and just giving that to the community. And despite that being here, certain things like the legendary run items, which are tied to the Atomic Shop, of course cannot actually be reviewed by the community before release, because the Atomic Shop is not available in the public test server for whatever reason. I still don't understand why they do that, why they decide to do that. Because it actually is not linked to the game itself. You have everything reset when the new update comes out, or it doesn't transfer over rather. But anyway, I'm not here to question that. Well, actually, I am here to question their decisions, and I do question that decision. But I'm not able to, of course, change their decision just by sheer will. However, I can still recommend certain stuffs, or stuff to be changed, and with that point in mind, let's move on to the next point, which is the connection between the devs and the players, or rather the people working on the game and the people playing the game. Right off the bat, I would like to mention that the community managers, despite clearly having the right intentions, are not doing their job well. I'm not saying it's because they don't try hard enough, it's because their approach is wrong and flawed. As you probably already saw, the people on Reddit, for example, are a mishmash of people. There are all kinds of players in all different kinds of the game, different kinds of areas of the game rather, and which means that the whole thing of the sort of feedback, if you can call it that, the Reddit posts are gonna get sort of lost in the void, because the quantity of them, the sheer quantity, is just way too much to record and understand properly for even a dev team much bigger than Bethesda's, and clearly the Fallout 76 dev team isn't that big. So yeah, of course there is some issues or troubles to overcome in this regard, but it doesn't mean that what they're doing right now and they're not trying to do anything differently is warranted because of this. No, they could definitely try different approaches to get the community's opinions and whatnot over to the devs easier, because right now the only sort of I'm not saying good, but let's say appropriate feedback that they are giving to the devs is that, oh, the players want the fridges in the game, the players want scrap bots in the game, the players want scrap kits and weapon repair kits in the game, and Bethesda uses that instead of putting it in the game as a whole to just get more money out of us, which is definitely not a way we would want this to go. So if you still want to do that, however, but you still also want to sort of compel to the community, while so not kind of keep this good balance of content edit that we actually want for free and just to enjoy, and content edit that we would want, but they would also want money out of it. Then make it so that instead of just I don't know, taking pot shots at certain comments and trying to get those into the game, try and make a list of the comments that are already out there, maybe on the forums or on Reddit or whatever, wherever you want it to, maybe even, I don't know, Twitter, and just compile that into a list and then push that list back to the community and kind of pin it so that everybody can see it clearly, and put it up to like sort of like a vote, so that people can actually voice their opinion without any disturbances, like random comments shoved in there and whatnot, to just actually, voice what they would want fixed or addressed into the game. So, I don't know, maybe the most top voted or upvoted post would be, oh, I want those animals to be released into my camp, or, oh, I don't know, I want this and this weapon to have some more usability because right now it's completely useless and broken. Like, for example, any explosive weapons, the Fat Man, rocket launcher, grenade launchers, they're all redundant and it's not usable at all. So maybe some people who actually like sprudy stuff would want those addressed in one way or another. And based on the votes calculated, Bethesda could actually value or kind of measure how much certain things or aspects are or mean to the community, and then act based on that. I'm not saying that, of course, they have to completely abide those and only go based on that, because of course certain bugs may not be that easy to fix, or certain adjustments may not be that easy to put into the game, but it still would give them a better idea of what the community wants, and then there wouldn't be any disconnect, or well, there would be less disconnect whenever they release a patch that's full of things that nobody was really asking for, or at least this would give like a better balance between the two. So this is my sort of recommendation or advice towards the community managers and maybe even the devs to how they would handle the game. But of course, I cannot tell them how to do things. They probably gonna do the things that they want them to want them to be done anyway. I'm just saying that the current way things are handled is probably not the best, and it should probably be addressed in one way or another, because it clearly won't last for a long-term goal. That being out of the way, I feel like the very last point I can bring up regarding the game is just the future potential and how Bethesda should probably approach it, which is kind of still, overlaps with the certain arguments that I brought up regarding the communication. But, since we've got QuakeCon right now and they actually got a lot of promises, I would just want to close off this entire discussion with don't blue ball us. So if you promise certain things, like for example, you did certain things with the Fallout First membership, like, oh, you're gonna get extended budget, or I don't know, maybe you can keep workshops over private servers even if you log off and whatnot, then don't just put those in promise or in premise of those being given to us and then just completely backpedal on them. Either say why it actually won't happen because you realize that this and this won't work out for this and this reason, or just don't promise it at all if you're unsure about it, because it's still better to actually have less content promised to us, but then those being delivered somewhat on time and working in the game, or just having a shit ton of things thrown at us and then half of those not ever coming to the game because of the fact that they are either Bethesda just lost interest in that, or they are just not possible because of certain things that they couldn't see at that time. So yeah, blue balling is really infuriating for most people, as you can see, for example, with this newest Colossal Problem event. It's been promised us for over 2 months now, and the community have been awaiting it, and then you blue ball us with not only multiple delays, but even when it gets added, you just make it so that it's not available for another 2 or I don't know 3 weeks, which is definitely not what you would want. Just don't give a release date to the event as a whole if you think that it might have still issues with it, and just say it's gonna be coming at some point in I don't know summer, and then the community would have much less anger about it as a whole. So I think I pretty much covered every single area of the game that I wanted to address, and I hopefully did not come up way too ranting or dissatisfied with the certain things, because as you can see, I'm still playing the game daily, I still have fun in it, and despite me trying to take a break for it for a week now, and that's why there's going to be no new videos for a week, I do feel like that it's still a game worth playing, and I'm probably going to be keep playing it for years to come, and making content on it for years to come, and hopefully you will stick around to that and follow me around this journey. So for now, I just want to say goodbye and thank you very much for watching, and I see you in the next one. See you guys.